What's going on, everybody? Mark is kind of handling the Zoom side. Andrew's handling Discord, so I'm kind of in charge of, facilitating. Though this is a collaborative effort. We have a very special guest this evening. Thank you all for joining. The guy that I actually started to write lyrics with as a teenager is in the Zoom as well. Robert, what's up, man? He's like a brother to me. And so, yeah, we got a special guest. What it took me a while to like get your name down. For a while, I was calling Kylie. I have no idea why. I don't know. Maybe like it was a gender thing. But yeah, we have Kendal Lester here this evening. She's gonna tell us a bit about what she does and how she got started and everything. Like I said, I'm Terrell. I'm one of the co-admins here of the Sinkhole. We just wanted to build a community to where that kind of house both experienced people and people who are brand new to sync, who want to learn more, who want to have that a communal effort. Mark, Andrew, and myself have been given a lot of help along the way over the years, and so we just kind of wanted to pay it forward and do the same. So thank you for joining us once again. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
no problem. And one thing that I want to mention too, it can be kind of overwhelming to engage in the channels, especially if you're not used to using Discord. I just want to encourage everybody to, there's not a stupid question. You could, feel free to engage in the channels. Like I said, I know we're all busy, families, jobs, and whatnot. But yeah, there are a lot of people, experienced people who are more than able to help you and assist you with any questions. To everybody out there who is new. So yeah, tonight we have Kendal. I bio up, but maybe you could probably explain a little better, like who you are, where you're from, how you got started in music and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a producer, a songwriter, a sometimes singer when I have to. And I've been working in like the sync game for the past couple years. I spent most of my like musical career as more of like an artist. And I kind of like dabbled in sync. I would send my songs into, like libraries and stuff like that, get a few placements every so often. But it was like about like 2 years ago, I kind of had like the COVID existential crisis, like probably everybody else did, and need to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I was like, I've always been passionate about sync, but didn't know much about it. And I kind of, went down the rabbit hole of like learning. And I quickly realized that if it was something that I wanted to pursue, I needed to do like as much as I could on my own. So that was when I really got serious about like learning to produce better. I'd been working in Pro Tools for a long time and like getting my music to like demo quality and then sending it to a producer to finish it for me. So I was like, I need to just like buckle down, learn this, figure out how to do it myself, because I was getting like briefs coming in with quick turnarounds and stuff. And so I've got my little home studio, and I just like lived down here essentially for a couple months, and learned to produce, learned to mix, and since then have been, hustling at it.
Hustling. That's what I like to hear, because that's basically what a lot of people who are not really acquainted with sync, they kind of overthink it and they think it is this high, like unattainable goal. But
Yeah.
if you join the sinkhole and you become involved, not that that's a surefire way, but if you just kind of plug in and just kind of grind it out for a few months, a few years, you will definitely see results. And so thank you for sharing that. And so I know there are some people like I want to go back even before COVID. Like, where did the interest in music start? I know there are some people that they grew up in church and they sang in the choir or whatnot. They sang in the school choir. Did you have anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, both my parents were Broadway singers and dancers, so I like grew up in a very artistic family. And I grew up in French horn, and I played in, marching band and all that kind of stuff. So I was like really passionate. I've always had a passion for music. But I got into doing like musical theater when I was 16, and I was like for sure that I was going to do Broadway. And I went to school at UNLV to study voice performance and stuff like that. I worked on cruise ships for a couple years as a singer, and I moved to Chicago. I've been here now for like 15 years. And I joined like my first rock and roll band, and I like changed my career trajectory. I was like, oh, this is what I was meant to do. This is awesome. Like just being on stage and performing original music, which was so cool. So I was with that band for a couple years, and that kind of got me in the itch to like start writing my own music. And so I had my own band for a long time. It was called the Fox and the Hounds. It was like this 7-piece kind of I don't know, pop rock. We kind of sounded like No Doubt a little bit. Um, and I did that for a really long time. That's where I got my first thing placement from, was with that band. We got one of our songs was the theme song for a web series. Um, and then from there I kind of, you know, branched off into starting other projects and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I've been doing music forever in some capacity.
That's what's up. Sorry, I've with not you. I was on mute on Discord. So Rosemary and to the others in the chat, I apologize. You probably didn't hear my questions.
Oh.
This is like I said, we're trying something new with Zoom and and Discord, and so I dropped the ball with that. I'm so sorry about that. So you said so you were originally you said that you were just submitting stuff to libraries and just kind of seeing where that went during COVID. How so for the like I said, this is a mixture. There's a mixture of people here. There's people that don't even know what library is, a music library is,
Mhm.
and there's people that have hundreds of placements. So how can one, if how can one, if they're brand new, kind of have an interest in music, don't really know how the business side works? How can one like get started, you know, in sync?
I mean, I just started with Google, like how to sync my music. You know, and you'll get like a web page of libraries. I think I probably started with Crucial Music, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. If you're not, it's such an easy process to submit your music there. I think that's a great like own. And I think they've got like a pretty decent bar for like what they accept and what they don't accept. So it's a great like meter for your music as well. Is it up to quality for the world of sync? But I think that was probably one of the first libraries I submitted to. We got lucky when I was in that rock band that someone actually heard the song and reached out to us to place it. Like it wasn't anywhere. Someone just stumbled across it and was like, that would be a great theme song. Let's use it. But it kind of got us on that course of like, oh, this is the path we should pursue. There's money in this, so let's investigate it some more. I think Noma Music took a bunch of our songs when I first, you know, kind of started researching a little bit more. But my path started with Google, just a good old Google search, and then just reaching out. You know, I've never been afraid of just sending cold emails, and that's a lot of what this is. I think just send that email.
That's some great advice. And there was a gem that you had in there too. That you said that's the placement that you got in the web series. Somebody just happened to come across your song. So artists, writers, producers have some medium to have your material heard. That could be a SoundCloud, a Bandcamp, a website. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have like a whatever high end site, but at least have your music attainable so that a music supervisor, a music library, a publisher are are able, you know, to hear that. So that's some great advice, Kendall. I think this question, I don't know if you mentioned it, but who are your like, you know, influences? Who could your music be on the playlist alongside and it kind of, you know, go with it?
Man, that's a big question. Everybody. I love all music. Like so I have an artist project called Butcher and the Florist that I do with my husband, and that's kind of dark pop, and it'll probably fit alongside like Banks and FK Twigs, very like kind of vibey. Um, I also have like another sync persona that's called KL that's like all upbeat dance pop, kind of sounds like Rael and Callie J and that kind of stuff. I also do a lot of cinematic music. So like what I do really kind of spans a lot of genres. And I mean, there's not many genres of music I don't like. I know it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but I really do like everything and listen to everything. And my favorite part is when I get a brief and they send references and I'm like, ooh, new music to listen to. So all of it.
That's a great answer because I kind of uh, I feel the same way at times. It depends on the day of the week, the time of day. You know, I can have that as well. So I totally understand This next question is more for the production side.
Yeah.
I know that they're like I said, I'm not a producer per se. I'm more of a top liner, lyricist, vocalist. But what, as a producer or people that are interested in that, what are your favorite plugins and VSTs?
Well, I use Logic. Um, I think Logic, like if someone's a beginner producer and wants to learn, I think Logic is great because I think it's user friendly and it comes with a lot of great like stock plugins that people can get familiar with before, making some purchases. I do a lot of cinematic stuff, so I'm using Spitfire a lot for like strings and stuff like that. Damage for some big dramatic drums. I use Serum all the time, which is a synth. And if anyone's familiar with like the Make Pop Music Facebook group, they're first of all, great resource in there for anybody who wants to become a producer. But the dude that runs it makes some like fantastic like presets and packs and stuff. So he's like one of my go-tos when I need, especially like modern pop sounds. I like pull up his pack Poptopia. It's like my go-to. I know it's gonna sound good. Um, and then for like more mixing stuff, I love like the Slate suites. Their virtual mix rack is super cool. They just came out with like a whole mastering bundle, which I need to check out. Fab filter stuff is always good. I mean, who doesn't use that? But yeah, those are kind of like some of my go-tos.
No, that's great because I know, like, because I don't really deal with that side of things. I know for the ones that do, that I'm sure that drove home. And so, I know you mentioned early on that you are a vocalist or you sing, at times or often. Have you like done so like recently with the sync, or do you usually collaborate with a vocalist? Do you like do a work for hire? Like, what's your typical process if you feel more comfortable with like the musical end of things as opposed to singing?
Yeah, I mean, well, since I got into production, I've been seeing less and less, and I find that I prefer it that way. I like fell in love with producing, and I like prefer to do that first and foremost. Um, when I'm just like writing by myself, I just try to think like what's going to be the perfect voice for that song, and maybe it's someone that's like in my network that I can reach out to, and maybe we'll collaborate on the lyrics, or maybe I have him written, and I'll give them a split or something. And then sometimes I co-write with people as well. We'll get together, write a song together, they sing it. I do sometimes do work for hires. I actually just finished a couple like disco pop songs that I'm hiring someone to sing because I was like, they've got the perfect voice for it. I know they're going to sound great. Let me just work for hire, pay them to do it. So, I mean, I approach it from, all the different angles. My goal is just what's going to make the song sound the best, and then to find that person. I do sometimes sing on my own stuff. Usually it's when I have a very quick turnaround on a brief and I can't get someone else to do it, then I'm like, oh, well, guess I'll do it.
No, that's great because yeah, you definitely you seem like you definitely know when the goal you have in mind. So depending on the goal you have or the type of song you have, you kind of know how to navigate that to to get the right vocalist, and that's what makes a good producer, honestly. So, thanks for sharing that. Have a few more, then we'll definitely open the floor. I know you're probably tired of hearing me talking. This is my first time doing this, so we'll definitely open the floor for some questions that you all may have for her as well. Being in this sync journey, it can get kind of frustrating, kind of discouraging. What are some lessons that you learned along the way, and what are some mistakes that you would avoid or tell a newcomer to avoid, or just some words of wisdom to kind of help them in their journey?
Yeah, I think my biggest like hurdle is just getting over my own like imposter syndrome or comparison, especially like my Instagram is filled with people in the world of sync. And so whenever I open it, I'm seeing like placements that people are getting. And, it's hard not to feel jealous about that. Like you want to feel excited for people. And I do, like, I want my friends to be successful, but it's also hard to look at that and not be like, oh, why didn't I get that placement? So that's something that I'm constantly like battling with. And when it happens, I know I just need to like shut off my social media and walk away from it and stop looking at my phone for a while, and that usually helps. I think some like maybe mistakes that I made like early in the game in sync was, especially when I first got into producing, was not getting stuff up to quality. Like there is a bar that needs to be hit in sync when it comes to quality. And I hate to say like ready to go ready, because I think that's, you know, a very loose term. But I was getting things to what I was like, oh, this is good enough. Let me submit it. Let me submit it. And when I like really kind of, I think, took a hard look at it, I was like, no, I need to like study more. Weekly lessons with a guy. We do like production mixing lessons. So we've been meeting every week for the last 2 years. And you know, I've hopefully grown a lot from that. And like my stuff now is at a point where no, this is quality. It's competing. So yeah, I'd say that was like definitely a mistake that I made in the beginning, was just work not being up to par. And then like just not being too precious with songs. I think one of my strengths is I write and get ideas pretty quickly, and I get ideas all the time. So I'm always coming up with new songs. And I think that can be hard if like you're an artist getting into sync, is that like a lot of it is just a numbers game. You just got to have quality and quantity with your music. So don't be like too attached to any one song, like get it done and then start on the next one.
And that is a great philosophy, honestly. Yeah, but a few of us are taxi members or have been taxi members in the past, and they kind of encourage that. You know, write, submit, forget, repeat. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of that's a great motto, and I think that's a great motto just to keep in mind as you are on this journey. Um, thank you once again. What are you mentioned a whole lot of placements earlier? What are some of your favorite or the ones that mean the most?
Um, we got, it's not like a major show or anything, but we had a really good spot on Love is Blind. And it was like a pretty good, like I think they used 90 seconds of the track, so it's a pretty good like time spot. And I mean, what's great about that is like it drove so many people over to the song, which was nice because we got a ton of like Spotify traffic off of that. Um, we got a placement on WWE, which was just cool because I'm a fan of WWE, so that was like neat to have it on there. Uh, yeah, I haven't, you know, I'm still waiting on my car commercial, so that hasn't happened yet. Mostly of what I've gotten, you know, has been like a lot of like reality TVs and stuff in the background. Anderson Cooper was cool just because it's Anderson Cooper. But yeah, so you know, I've had a bunch of like little spots. The Love is Blind one was probably like the longest spin that I've got and most featured, which was pretty cool.
That is cool. My wife is a huge fan of the show. I want to say my wife, but I watch it with her, so it just
Yeah.
sounds better
Yeah.
when I
No,
say
you're
that she's a fan of the show.
right.
But no, it's a very interesting show. I'll say it's very interesting. But that is so cool. We're gonna open up. Thank you once again, Kendall. We're gonna open up the floor. We have a few questions already. If you are in, or you could type in your questions. They'll come directly to me. If you are in Zoom, you could just type in the questions as well in the chat feature. The first question is from Sarah from Discord. She would love to hear about your vocal editing techniques and workflow. Can you tell us about how you approach that?
Well, I think the first thing when capturing vocals is like to get quality vocals from the source. Like your source has to be good. So are you in a quiet room? Do you have a decent microphone? If you've got a good source, it just makes the rest of the work so much easier. But I mean, obviously, after you capture vocals, it's comping. I tune using Melodyne. And from there, like, does she want to hear like my whole like chain? I'm happy to
She
share.
might, because we have, like I said, we have time, and if it's
Okay.
not too exhausting.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe I should pull it up. From there, I usually use like the Isotope RX, D-Click, putting a de-esser on there, usually the Fab Filter, doing just like a little bit of EQ. If Sarah's a singer, like in female voices, I'm maybe cutting out like around 200 or so. And then I bus everything to like my basically track stack, where I use the virtual mix rack from Slate, and I usually use the C800 mic engine. It works also really nice on female voices, especially if you want kind of like a little bit of a brighter sound, which if I'm recording my voice, I definitely do because I have a little bit of a darker voice. So I like to brighten it up a little bit. I'll put a little bit of like EQ, more EQ, and compression on within the virtual mix rack. Probably put another de-esser, another compressor. I use the Neve 1073 for like some EQ coloring. And then from there, I'm sending all those out to like my reverbs. I usually do, my first thing is maybe a widener on the vocals, a slap, like a little bit of slap delay. I think what I do next, a short reverb. I send it like both a short and a long reverb. So I'm getting a little bit of tails and stuff in there, and then also getting like just kind of like that room vibe. And then maybe a little bit of stereo delay. And I'll usually have, I'm just gonna keep going, a second track of the, like, let's say the lead vocal that's like duplicated. And that's where I'll like maybe put more reverb on so I can kind of automate it and control my reverbs a little bit better throughout the track. That was a lot.
No, that was helpful. That was helpful.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't really deal with that side of stuff. So a lot of the stuff you said didn't make any sense to me. But I'm sure the ones that
I
really
hope it did to
deal with
somebody.
it,
Maybe it
yeah,
helps.
it'll click with somebody. Just like I
Yeah.
said, I'm more of a
Maybe
top
I
liner.
do not know Discord at all, but if there's a way for me to share a screenshot or something in
There
after this,
is,
okay.
yeah. Andrew is the expert on
After this,
Discord,
I'm
so
happy
he
to share
might.
a little screenshot of my vocal chain if you ever want to see
Perfect,
it.
perfect. The next question, speaking of Andrew, it's from Andrew. He asks, can you tell us about the Tommy Prophet competition that you won? What it was, what made your tracks so special that it won, etc.
Yeah, that was definitely like one of the highlights of my 2-year producing career so far. Tommy Prophet just hosted a remix contest. And I've always been a big fan of him. I love big cinematic in your face music. It was really cool because he gave us, I think there was like 10 songs, and he gave you the stems to all those songs. So we had like a vocal stem, drums, bass, strings, whatever, which within itself was just a masterclass to like get to listen to all of those, individual stems and hear his processing and everything like that. So what I did was I took a song called Tragic, which is a very like one of his more minimal songs. When I say minimal, Tommy Prophet is, even his minimal songs are big, but was still one of his more minimal songs, kind of a ballad. Flurry was the singer on it. And I reinvented it as a synthwave song. So I kind of like, if you think Blinding Lights meets Tommy Prophet, like that's what I did with it. So it kind of had this like retro 80s vibe and was like a complete 180 from what the song was. And I think that's why I won. Like, I don't really do EDM. So I was like, I'm not going to go that traditional route of like an EDM remix. That's not my style. And Tommy Prophet, he said multiple times, like, there's no rules, go out of the box, do what you want. So I think because I completely flipped the song on its head and kind of went a non-traditional route, I think that's probably why my song was selected. And I actually ended up doing a second remix for him for a song called My Domain, which was also kind of this, I'm trying to think like how I would say, like, if you know the band like Alt J, I kind of went with like that kind of influence. So it's a little bit more of an indie vibe. But you can't out Tommy Prophet. So I was like, I'm not going to make a big song bigger. I'm going to just flip it on its head.
That's cool. Is there like a link that you could share so that the people and myself can hear it?
Yeah, I mean, they're on my Spotify.
Spotify, okay.
Grab that link.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll get the next question rolling. Like I said, you can chat in the questions. Andrew and Mark are submitting those directly to me, and while Kendall's grabbing that link,
all right, wait, hold on, real fast. Where do I put the link? I don't know Discord
you
at all,
can
you guys.
put
Where do I
it.
put the
You
link
can
on
put it
Discord? Or
in
should I
the
put it in
Zoom chat.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then Andrew or Mark put it in Discord for us, if that's
Gotcha,
cool,
I can
guys.
do that.
Don't mean to put you on the spot, but
there you go. That was Tragic, and that's My Domain.
cool, perfect. So they'll post that to Discord. And the next question is from Rosemary, a longtime collaborator and friend of mine. You mentioned work for hire songs. How does someone get into doing that? or is it more of people just directly asking someone they know to sing?
The recent girl that I used, I hired through Air Gigs. So if you're not familiar with like Air Gigs or Sound Better, it's basically a platform where you can sell your musical services. So you would put your, photo, your resume up there, some sound clips. You can set your rate. I want to charge $200 a song or something like that. And people can hire you through it. So that's where I hired one of my singers that I just used. And then a second singer that I hired was through a recommendation from someone. I said, hey, I want someone with like a Lizzo vibe. Do you know anybody? And she's like, yes, go talk to Lauren. And so that was through just, my network of connections. And sometimes I'll reach out to people and it may be like a small upfront fee and a split of the song. Sometimes, you just pay them outright, in which case, like when I hire somebody for a work for hire, they're giving up all their back end. So I'm buying them out of everything. They don't own part of the master, the publishing, or the writing. I'm keeping everything.
Yeah, the reason why I got into taxi was because of a work for hire,
Yeah.
a friendship that I established, and she's like, "Hey, you should join taxi." And then, all these years later, here I am. So yeah, the work for hire community side to what we all do in here is very vital, because like there's some skills, like I said, there's some skills that we just that as a writer or a producer don't have. So it makes sense to employ somebody for this service, and then like so you retain the copyright, the master, and all that, and then you pay them the fee, and they sign a document, and then you're good to go ahead and submit it to a library, a publisher, whoever. So that's kind of how that works. Like that's the abridged version. There's more to it depending on like the type of agreement and all that stuff. But yeah, thank you for that question, Rose. That's a great question. Um, from Andrew, what are the major you see new people falling into when first starting sync? Are there any lessons you have learned that you wish you had known when you got started? I think we touched on this a little bit before, but maybe
Yeah.
if you wanted to expound on it some more.
Maybe one more thing I would say is that I think when people first start out, they maybe put their music in like too many libraries, like with non-exclusives and stuff. Like I think something to keep in mind is that it kind of is a small community. So a lot of these non-exclusives are getting the same briefs and maybe pitching the same songs. So I try to limit, like if I'm doing a song non-exclusively, I'm going to limit it to like 4 libraries, and I'm going to try and pick libraries that I know don't have a lot of overlap in the briefs that they're getting. So I would say like don't send one song out to 20 different non-exclusive libraries. Have a bunch of eggs in a bunch of different baskets. Give one song to 4 libraries, another song to 4 libraries, and spread yourself out that way. And I think like if someone like wants to pursue sync as a career, just like study what you're listening to. It's so easy to write the songs that you want to write, but there's like little tricks and tips to writing songs for sync, like edit points in your music, that I think are going to help set your songs apart. So you can still write for yourself, but like write for yourself with sync in mind.
Great advice. And could you expound on edit points?
Edit points are like basically breaks in your music where a music supervisor could essentially cut up your song. So maybe there's like a pause before the chorus hits or something, or there's like a clear just point in the music where that music editor could go, oh, let's cut it right here. And they could like splice parts together if they wanted to.
Great explanation. I've always had trouble explaining that, like what it in a brief way, and that was perfect. Mark has a question. Thoughts on quality versus quantity. You hear both arguments in sync world. It's not about the quality. It is, but it's not, and the quantity is where it's at. So there are different schools of thought with that. So just want to know your take on that.
I mean, I think it has to be both. Especially like I feel like the sync world is just getting more and more people are trying to get into this space. So like supervisors have more and more options for their tracks. If we're not making something that's quality, like someone else is getting that. I mean, yes, every once in a while I hear something on a TV show and I'm like, that wasn't that great, but you know, whatever. I think for the most part, quality is always going to win out. And then I really do also believe that it's just a numbers game. If this, especially if this is like what you want to do, like as a career path, um, I think you just got to constantly be creating content. I think, who is it? Tamara Bubbles said something that like every song you write is a lottery ticket. So why wouldn't you like get all the tickets?
I've never heard that analogy, but that's actually makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. I don't have any more questions. Unless somebody has some. Andrew, Mark, I don't know if you guys had any other questions in mind or.
I see one from Janet about co-writing, any tips for finding co-writers. My dog needs to go outside. Let me just take him out real fast.
You're fine. You're fine.
All right, there you go. I met a lot of the people I co-write with now through two ways. One was I went to a sync event. I was actually here in Chicago called Whup It Up that was hosted by What Up Pitches. And it was maybe the coolest event I've been to because the first day was all like panels and learning. The second day, they broke you up into small groups and they gave you 4 hours to write and produce a song that you then presented to some music supervisors. And it was such a great way to get to know who you wanted to work with. Like you got to see and hear everybody's talent. What can people create in 3 to 4 hours? I met, Kendra Dantes there, who some people might be familiar with. And she and I have now worked on like 3 or 4 tracks together. Like so many people that I've since collaborated with came from that event and from being able to like actually work in person together. So I've met a ton of people through that. And then I have a couple sync agents that have just set me up with artists on their roster. So they'll say, hey, I think this is a great person you should know. You guys have similar styles. Why don't you write something for our catalog? And we'll work that way. And I met one of my collaborators, Kaylee Rhodes. I think we met maybe 4 months ago and are on like our 8th track together. So sometimes you just meet people and it clicks.
That's great advice. And Janet, also, shameless plug, the collabs channel and on the Discord, on the sinkhole, if you are in the field for a co-writer, you could just post there and hopefully share what you're looking for, the genre that you do, and then hopefully, like I said, hopefully you can meet somebody here, who can help you with that.
Yeah, I'll say like getting into this sync space, like I found that it's a super really open, friendly community. Like I've never met any of these guys in person and they asked me to do this and that was super cool and everyone's really nice. So like don't be afraid of just reaching out to people because everyone I've met has been a great human.
And that's facts. That's facts about that. I agree. Sarah asked, how do you approach splits in collaboration?
So usually 50-50 or depending on how many people are in the room, but whoever's in the room gets an equal share of the split. I do have like a producer fee that I charge usually, which is a much like discounted rate for like sync people than what I would charge for like artists and stuff. So this is like a personal thing. I think every producer is going to do something different. But I usually charge a little bit of a fee and then equal split with anyone in the room.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty standard. That's pretty standard. So yeah, good stuff, man. Any more questions? We're probably aim to wrap this up around, is it 9 p.m., guys? I don't want to misspeak, but they're typing. So
Okay.
and Kendall, before I forget, where can we find you on online? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, so I'm probably the most active on my Instagram, which is klester64. I can put it in the chat over here. I have a website. It's not very updated, but you could check it out. It's kendallester.com. My music is on Spotify. I've got a lot of my collaborations go under my name, Kendal Lester, featuring whoever artist. I do dark pop music that's under the name Butcher and the Florist. And then I have like upbeat sync pop, dance pop stuff under my artist KL on Spotify. So it's a lot of different places, but it's all out there. And yeah, if you follow my Instagram, I'll always update with like music that's coming out and stuff like that. And if I'll always still post there if you are a singer or anything like that. I'll sometimes post if I'm like looking for somebody to collab with on a song, like, hey, I have this track, I'm looking for this style of vocalist, do you want to work together?
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Andrew has a question. Can you tell us about the Nowhere House?
The Nowhere House is basically my husband and mine's production company. So my husband does a lot of videography work and he produces podcasts. So this is basically the Nowhere House. We do it all out of our basement in our house. And yeah, it's just the name for our production company. Kind of before I got into doing like sync stuff, I also work for a fitness company and I was doing like promotional video content for them and stuff where I would like shoot kind of short videos, write music for it as well, and do that. So that's the Nowhere House. And I don't think there's a website for that. It just exists in our heads.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Sarah has a question in regards to collaborators. Your co-writers pay you for your production services. I know you mentioned a production fee. I think that's what she's referring to.
Yeah. So it can depend on the situation. Sometimes, when I collab, it's completely just 50-50 split, no upfront fee, especially if like an agency maybe is setting me up with a collab or something like that. If people are bringing me songs that they need a producer on, then I am charging a producer fee. I charge discounted rates for people that are in the sync space because I know how that works. And then people that are just like strictly artists and kind of pursuing more of an artist path, I have a separate rate for. I'm not going to give those rates out right here, but if anyone really wants to reach out, please do, and I'm happy to discuss more. But so yeah, I usually charge a discounted rate for anybody that's in the sync world.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think that's been pretty standard. Like as far as the music industry works, I just know how like back in the pre-streaming days, like Pharrell and Dr. Dre and those guys in their heyday were charging like $200,000 fee on top of getting
I mean,
cuts.
that's pretty much what I charge too.
The back end. No. Yo, you making that bank, huh?
right. One
but
song
that's
a
pretty
year and I'm
standard.
set.
Yeah, that's pretty standard though. Like how you are operating your business, like that's not like uncommon at all. So
yeah, and it's really, I mean, just the amount of like time that goes into the production because I'm producing, I'm mixing, I'm mastering, and like the amount of money that I've spent on VNTs and gear is embarrassing. So I do have to make some of that back. So yeah.
No, I get it. No, I get it. You ain't gotta explain to me. I get it. It can be very expensive to be an artist, a producer, a songwriter. It adds up. So I understand. I think there's some more questions coming through. On average, how many hours are you putting into music each week?
Every week. So I do still have my regular day job, and then I probably put an additional 30, maybe sometimes 40 hours in. I like wake up before I go to work and I'm in the studio. After work, I'm in the studio. My weekends, I'm in the studio. If I have free time, I'm in the studio. So as much as I can.
Okay, so you said on top of your like job, you do 30 hours about a week?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So you really grinded. Okay, wow.
Yeah, I'm hustling, you gotta put the work in. And I think it's important though, like if you gotta like do it every day. Like one, to build your skill set and treat it like a job. Like if you want it to be a job, you gotta treat it like one.
That's very true. because like yeah, the more like I said, like it's like a muscle. I think I was talking to Robert, my the friend of mine in Zoom. I think we were saying we were historically we thought of being a creative as this ethereal thing that when you are inspired you write, and it's just like
Mhm.
no, it's like a muscle. Like if
Yeah.
you work out often, you'll be fit. You know, so the more you write, the more you produce, the more you sing, rap, whatever it is that you do, the more you do it, the better, the more efficient you'll become at it. So
Yeah,
no, I
totally.
agree. Okay. So 15 minutes left or so. I don't know if there are any other questions or if Kendall has anything else she wants to share. Like I said, thank you. You're our first guest with the
That's okay.
sinkhole. Like I said, we've been in operation for about 2 months, maybe if that. So we're brand new. We're learning, kind of like learning on the fly with the
Yeah.
tech side, with the channel side, as far as like the brand or whatever that we're trying to build, the community that we're trying to build. So we thank you guys for tuning in. You know, taking time from your writing and music making to be with us here this evening. Um, there is a question that just came through actually. What does your master chain look like?
I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. Um, I'm usually running through a tape. Then I'm using what is it? It's one of the slate like red compressors or something like that. Um, I'll usually have like a little noise gate on there. The Mag EQ4, like for a little bit of high end, like shine and shimmer. Soothe. Soothe is your best for I love. Do you guys use Soothe? Producer people. I use it all the time. So there. I'm using like the ozone on there. I think I use Soothe again on there. And then I usually use another limiter at the very end. I do that as saying like Slate came out with this whole like mastering suite, which like that's my plan for tonight after this is I'm going to go download that and play around with it. So that my chain may completely change.
That's what's up. That's what's up. There is this is a question from Mark. What is the best investment that you have made into your music career, or the purchase that has been the most fruitful or had the biggest ROI or return on investment?
There's a question from Mark to me.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought that's more Mark. I don't know if I can point at like one thing that was like that made it for me. I, studying, just buying lessons. That was the best investment I made. I pay a dude to teach me how to mix better, and that's been the best investment. That's not a gear. I did buy, if I can show it off, I'm going to show you on my webcam here, the new Mac Studio. There it is. That's a sweet little baby there.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
So that's my girl. I was running out of CPU a lot, and then I got this, and now I don't, and that's great.
That's what's up. Yeah, I'm a Mac guy as well, so I'm a little biased. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my husband and I are like a Mac family. I think if I like got an Android, we might get divorced.
Yo, well, God forbid, but yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah. What are your favorite snacks in the studio? I know we all have our snacks that we
I
like
don't eat a
working.
lot in the studio, but I do really like Zevias, which are like naturally sweetened sodas. I'll like just continually drink that. And coffee, I drink way too much coffee. But yeah, oh, the cherry colas, they're so good. So good. That might be my favorite. Um, yeah, so Zevias, coffee. That's about it. I'm not much of a snacker.
Zevious coffee and cherry cola, you said?
Yeah, the cherry cola Zevia flavor is
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's one and the same.
yeah,
Okay, so a lot of
yeah,
caffeine, basically.
yeah.
That's what's
uh,
up.
yeah. Paul, we
So,
had
but
a mini Mac before.
oh, okay, Cool.
Yeah. So
How do you avoid burnout? Because like I say, you have a 9 to 5. You're married. Like I say, how do you avoid burnout, and that allows you to keep creating like at a high level?
yeah. Well, first of all, my husband is super supportive. He's also a musician. He's a fantastic like bass and guitar player. So, which is great for me because I basically have a studio musician that lives in my house that I can like call on anytime I need bass or guitar. So yeah, he's really supportive and he's done music his whole life too. I think one thing that helps is I just really like what I do, both my day job and this is producing. Like I love it. So anytime I get to do it, I'm excited to do it. That's not to say that I don't like I have a very hard time like taking breaks and stopping and shutting down. And my husband and my dogs are good at reminding me to do that. Um, but like taking a whole day off is like foreign to me. I'm like, what? You want me to not go in the studio at all today? Like, I don't know that I could do that. Um, so I don't have an answer. I don't know because I don't exist in that plane.
No, got you. And thanks for your honesty, because like I said, we as creatives, like we try to, if we do have other obligations in life, and we try to carve out that time anyway. So it's like when we feel like we only have a small amount of time to give anyway, kind of hard to kind of pull back, from that. So
Yeah. Yeah,
thank
no, it
yeah.
is. Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do get burnt out and I just keep going and I'm like, it's gonna pass. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Trust me. Like I can't. Yeah, I'm no better. So yeah, right there with you. One that's probably one of the final questions because we're gonna wrap up here once again at 9 o'clock. So what are your well, not what are your, but do you have any major goals or mile markers that you would like to hit here in the brand new year?
I mean, for me, it's just getting more placements, better placements. There's I guess like not like one thing that I want to hit. I just want to see growth. I want to keep meeting more people in this community because that's like when I started collaborating, I felt like that just like opened more and more doors. So yeah, just keep meeting more people, keep making more music, uh, you know, better agents, libraries, placements, I just want growth.
And that's a great thing to want and to desire. So right there with you. Any other questions before we wrap it up? And I don't know if Mark or Andrew have any closing words or anything like that.
I would just like to say, I see a couple ladies out there that if any women are considering becoming producers, that you should do it. I felt like I waited a really long time because I didn't know any female producers. All the producers I hired were men. And it was actually my husband just kept encouraging me. He's like, you're already like getting your song 70% of the way there. Just learn that other 30% and do it. Just do it. um, and I did. And it seems sometimes I think like this like kind of scary enigma, and then you just have to force yourself to do it. But I think more women should be in this space. So if you're thinking about doing it, like just jump in, start learning. You can do it. There's no mystery to it. It's just practice.
And practice makes perfect, right? Um, we just wanted to remind, thank you, Kendall. We can we give a virtual round of applause for Kendall? She killed it. Like I said, she kind of no pressure, but she kind of like set the bar very, very high. So it's only up from here, Mark and Andrew. So we have to meet the mark each time. But thank you for your wisdom, your insight, your knowledge, and your time. Most importantly, um, this was being recorded, and so if you haven't joined our Discord group, the replay it'll be available. It might make its way to YouTube. I'm not for sure as well, but Andrew, there was one more question before we wrap it up. Sorry. It will be available on YouTube. Mark, just let me know. Andrew says that his daughter is interested in production, so he's going to be using you as a role model. So that's
Awesome. That's
encouraging to
touching.
hear.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, if there's no other questions, like I said, we'll keep you guys posted on the next live event. We don't know when that'll be. We're I guess the goal is to do one a month as our schedule allows. So we'll, like I said, we'll keep you all posted on the Discord group. But thank you. I'm out of words. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if Mark and Andrew have anything to say, but thank you once again, Kendall. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you later. If there's no other things.
Yeah,
Bye,
just
Ren.
want to say thank you, Kendall. Thank you for everyone that showed up. This turned out really well, and looking forward to doing more in the future.
Likewise, likewise. Andrew, anything, or we're good?
Just reiterating, I don't know if I'm going to make the echo thing happen again, but yeah, Kendall, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. Seriously, like when I heard your stuff and when I listened to your music, I was like, okay, we definitely need Kendall. Like we need her to come talk and just inspire some people and just get your stuff, you know, kind of out there a little bit within our community, and then just have a chance to kind of interact with you. So love to keep possibly, you know, at some point have you even back in here as we continue to do these things and stuff. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out.
Anytime, anytime. Well, guys, have a great rest of your night, and we will keep, like I said, we'll keep you posted on the one that is next month or next year. So see you guys next year.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good night.
See you.